Every day at an imposing monument in Taipei, a guard of honor pays homage to Chiang Kai-shek, the man who lost the Chinese Civil War to Mao Zedong's communists in 1949 and retreated to Taiwan, where he and his Chinese nationalist forces, or Kuomintang, the KMT, and their Republic of China became a symbol of opposition to the communists and their People's Republic. Among those who fled with Chiang in 1949 was the father of Ernest Ma. Ernest was born and raised in Taiwan. Today, however, he spends most of his time managing a Taiwan-run electronics factory in Shanghai. He's one of more than 1 million people from Taiwan now living and working in mainland China, part of a dramatic rapprochement between these longtime adversaries.
I think the opening up gives the people to interact more than before and enhance the interaction and understanding.
As Taiwan and China remained locked in Cold War hostility after Mao's victory, Chiang Kai-shek and his successors presided over an economic miracle. Today, this island of 23 million, 90 miles off the Chinese coast, is the 17th largest economy in the world, a global leader in electronics and high tech. In the past 2 decades, Taiwan has also become a raucous democracy, with hotly contested elections, an unfettered press, and an identity increasingly separate from that on the mainland.
Very high majority of people in this island think they are Taiwanese.
And a vocal minority support the idea of full independence for the island.
Taiwan is an independent country. This is the reality. We have our own government running the place.
But the leadership in Beijing has always insisted that Taiwan is an inseparable part of China, threatening to use force to prevent a formal declaration of independence, and deploying over 1,000 missiles on its side of the Taiwan Strait to make sure Taiwan gets the message.
The mainland continues to build up an array of capabilities opposite Taiwan, and there does not seem to be any indication that the mainland is willing to alter its military posture. It continues to see that military capability as a deterrent to Taiwan independence.
But while the political differences between Taiwan and the mainland remain, in recent years, economics have brought the successors of Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek closer together than anyone could have imagined. And Ernest Ma's presence in Shanghai is just one example. E.J. Liu moved from Taipei to operate a shoe factory near Guangzhou in southern China.
And another advantage to come to China is because of the language, the communication. It's much easier for Taiwanese people. Of course, all other expenses, cost is much less than what we had in Taiwan.
Overall, Taiwan businesses have now invested over $100 billion in China, from shoes to designer fashions to high tech. And Taiwan's presence on the mainland is increasingly visible. One of the most prominent buildings dominating the Shanghai skyline is the China headquarters of Ernest Ma's Taipei-based company Aurora, which operates 4 factories in China, and which also spent $15 million on a corporate pavilion at the 2010 Shanghai Expo to promote awareness of the company's brand among the mainland's vast market of potential consumers. Expo organizers also invited Taiwan to have its own pavilion, which cost $30 million to build, receives thousands of visitors a day, and has generated widespread goodwill towards the island. These developments provided the backdrop for ECFA, the Economic Cooperation Framework Agreement. Signed in June, it took effect in September, with the goal of increasing trade and reducing tensions. It's been widely described as the most significant accord between Taiwan and China since the Civil War 6 decades ago.
Well, if you look at the time frame, let's say from 1949 until today, I think you probably cannot find a better time where cross-strait relations is so good.
ECFA is a defining moment and is the first framework agreement between Taiwan and China. And it will guide the future course of so-called economic cooperation and the normalization of economic and trade relationship.
The signing of ECFA was the climax of a series of moves initiated by Taiwan's current president, Ying-jeou, to improve relations with Beijing. Ma was elected in 2008. He brought the Kuomintang, the heirs of Chiang Kai-shek, back to power after 8 years in which Chen Shui-bian, the leader of the opposition Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, and a supporter of Taiwan independence, held the office. Even as cross-straits economic links, first established in the late 1980s, continued, Chen Shui-bian's years in power were marked by heightened tensions with Beijing, as Chen sought to make Taiwan as separate as possible from the mainland, and China flexed its muscles to deter him from pushing the independence envelope.
Their confrontational, pushing the envelope, kind of a quest for a quick change in status quo, hurts the trust of mainland toward Taiwan, making mainland nervous, and making American government nervous, because this could induce instability.
Indeed, Chen's pro-independence policies did heighten tensions with Taiwan's best friend, the U.S., which saw his efforts as needlessly complicating Sino-American relations. Raymond Burkhardt is the chairman of the American Institute in Taiwan, the unofficial U.S. mission on the island.
And under Chen Shui-bian's leadership, what we're seeing by the U.S. as provocations, gratuitous provocations of Beijing, a failure to take seriously the equities and concerns of the United States, were a major problem.
From the moment he took power, Ma Ying-jeou was determined to change the dynamic of the previous 8 years, promising in his inaugural speech not to seek independence for Taiwan. One of Ma's key advisors was academic He Hsieh.
Because we alienated China then, and the risk of war was always present during that 8 years. We knew that Beijing had goodwill toward the new administration, and on our side, we wanted to have a rapprochement with China. When China grows at such a pace, if Taiwan does not dovetail with Chinese growth, and basically it means you are out of the trend of globalization.
Within weeks of taking office, the Ma administration achieved its first breakthrough, an agreement to open direct air and shipping links with China. Sam Liu manages factories in both Taiwan and China for the Hocheng Group, which makes kitchen fixtures, bathtubs, and toilets. It used to take him a full day with a change of planes in Hong Kong to get from Taipei to this factory in the suburbs of Shanghai. Now, with a direct flight, it takes him 90 minutes.
What is the change? A lot of the Taiwanese, the businessmen, they can easily do traveling in this region. So even they can have the breakfast in Taipei and have the lunch meeting in the Shanghai city. And in the night time, they fly back to Taipei. Only with the 1 day, they can finish a lot of the agenda. So it can cause the business is more efficient.
There are now 350 direct flights a day, as well as shipping links bringing cargo back and forth, and ferries carrying an increasing number of tourists. Over 100,000 mainlanders now visiting Taiwan every month. You see them everywhere, admiring the view from Taipei's tallest building, at museums, and in department stores, and bringing, by some accounts, $1 billion in revenue to Taiwan. In other areas, too, the barriers are coming down. Chinese basketball star Yao Ming recently visited Taiwan, pursued by a mob of reporters and admiring fans. Pundits from Taiwan and China now appear on the same Chinese TV talk shows. And conferences, like this one in Taipei to discuss improved economic ties, regularly feature officials and academics from both sides. Now, the ECFA free trade deal is expected to give the entire Taiwan-China relationship a huge boost. Under ECFA, China agreed to open its banking, insurance, accounting, and other service sectors to Taiwanese companies. Daniel Yao is Executive Vice President for the Taipei-based Capital Securities.
For example, the ECFA is very important. With the ECFA in place, we think the industry can start moving into that market.
Beijing also agreed to reduce tariffs on over 500 Taiwanese products, while Taiwan agreed to lower tariffs on about half that number of Chinese goods. For Ronald Zhang, whose family operates a garment factory in China, ECFA is good news.
It's good for us. We have few very important material came from Taiwan. The fabric, some functional fabric from Taiwan. And join the ECFA for us, the benefits, we can reduce some cost, the material cost from Taiwan. I think we have some percentage to save that duty paid to China government. That's the good benefit for us. And besides that, that's good for Taiwan.
One additional potential benefit could be to make Taiwan itself a more attractive place for international companies.
ECFA, we think, will give Taiwan an opportunity to catch the attention once again of many multinational companies, at least for certain products, which will have tariff concessions in the Chinese market. You could set up in Taiwan and then export to China duty-free. And in fact, I think many companies are finding it could be as easy to operate a Greater China business plan out of Taipei than anywhere else in the area.
Another benefit is that ECFA has already opened the door to Taiwan negotiating free trade deals with other Southeast Asian nations, who previously were reluctant to offend Beijing. Talks with Singapore have already begun. But ECFA is hardly universally popular in Taiwan. The deal has sparked angry protest marches and even led to brawls in the legislature. Critics, especially in the opposition Democratic Progressive Party, worry that Taiwan will be swallowed by the giant Chinese economy and accuse President Ma of selling out to Beijing.
The main problem we have with Ma Ying-jeou's China policy is we feel that he is embracing China too soon, too fast, and too much. China continues to be hostile towards Taiwan, and as long as that hostility remains, we feel we must be much more cautious. This dramatic embracing of China, given the size and bulk of the Chinese economy, will much impact our job market when their agricultural products start coming in, or even when Chinese workers start to enter Taiwan's job market, the blue-collar and white-collar job market, when cheaply produced, poor-quality Chinese goods start coming in. It will cause a lot of social tension within Taiwan.
In a televised debate with President Ma, DPP chairwoman Tsai Ing-wen said that ECFA would simply enable China to start absorbing Taiwan. But Ma's defenders say the critics are overreacting.
This ECFA is not, definitely not a stepstone toward the eventual reunification.
But there's no question Chinese leaders do see closer economic links precisely as a stepping stone to eventual political integration.
I think my reading of the top leadership's strategy is that, when we start with economic integration, and then eventually we can have political integration. In other words, the top leadership is saying, I'm giving you all these advantages, and my expectation is that you will use these economic advantages to push forward on the political front.
But while many in Taiwan welcome closer economic links, there's little popular support for closer political ties. And despite ECFA and the other deals, Ma Ying-jeou's popularity remains low, as much if not more the result of criticism over the government's handling of a particularly destructive typhoon and fallout from the global financial crisis. But with crucial elections looming, Ma doesn't have much time to show his China policy is paying off.
In the long run, the ECFA would improve the economy. Academically, there is no question about that. But in the short run, we are facing elections in 5 metropolitan cities, and then there will be another presidential election in the spring of 2012. The pressure is certainly there, no question about that.
China knows it too, which is why even after ECFA took effect, Beijing has maintained a low-key approach toward Taiwan.
Our mission, national consensus, is to gain reintegration of the entire nation across Taiwan Strait. It remains our sacred mission. But to do this, a lot more basic work, 基础工作, infrastructure we have to build.
Even for people like garment manufacturer Ronald Zeng or shoe factory owner Ying-jeou, the people who are literally creating the infrastructure of the Taiwan-China relationship, economic engagement has not translated into a deeper sense of Chineseness.
99% of the people from Taiwan, they still want to keep the identity of Taiwanese. Even though I'm a mainlander, but I still want to keep my identity as Taiwanese.
But it took over 6 decades for these once bitter enemies to reach the point they're at now, a point many would have believed impossible just a few years ago. And for all the enduring divisions, both sides now have a vested and steadily expanding interest in sustaining the relationship that has developed. And that, in itself, may offer the best prospect of ensuring continuing calm across the Taiwan Strait. I'm Mike Chinoy.